Hello and welcome to IMDB's Worst 100.
Today we're looking at number 92, Kya Kool Hain Hum 3.
Good job. Well, with a title this long, we should better just get straight on into the video, I suppose.
Yep, let's do it. So, I'm going to explain the plot of this film now.
Don't sound too excited.
Yeah. Okay, so it follows two guys, Rocky and Kanhaya. Kanhaya gets kicked out of his house after an incident, a couple of incidences. The one I will mention is they go to Kanhaya's grandma's birthday party and his friend Rocky kills her because she gets the shock of her life when she sees him masturbating. So yeah, his dad kicks him out and then they get a call from their friend Mickey, who lives in Thailand, who says, "Come on out, I've got a job for you both, you can come live here." They're like, great. So they go to Thailand, they get there and they find out that Mickey films porn films.
H4, harder, F4, faster, L4, longer. Focus.
And he offers them jobs as porn stars. So
Naturally,
as you'd expect. So they become porn stars and then Kanhaya meets a woman, not a porn star, meets a woman on the street who he falls in love with. After a few little mishaps there, they go on a date and then he asks her to marry him and she says yes, but she wants their families to meet. Now, because Kanhaya is not speaking with his family, he decides the best idea would be to get his newfound porn friends to dress up and pretend to be his family.
It's a brilliant idea. Yes. Oh. Yeah. हाँ, सक्कू और मेरी मेरी दो बहनें बनेंगी. बहनें. और ये दोनों मेरे जीजा जी.
So they can do this big meet. Obviously, things don't go smoothly, and there's a number of escapades, quite a few.
possibly too many.
बुआ भाग रही है. I hope उसने कुछ देखा नहीं हो. अगर देखा होगा तो शौक से अंधी भी हो जाएगी.
Eventually, it all gets found out, obviously, the truth's revealed, and then it ends with the wedding, because everyone's all right about it in the end.
Yeah, happy ending.
It's a good use of 2 hours, wasn't it?
Yeah. What did you think of our main characters?
This is a Bollywood film, which isn't something that we've had in this list before, and not really something we've watched that much of before. And it's also a quote-unquote porn-com. So, really, I didn't know what to expect.
No.
But I found that the two main characters, Rocky and Kanhaya, were actually quite likeable in a strange kind of way.
Yeah.
Imagine this in the context of like a sort of American film. I feel like they could have been quite horrendous. They are quite laddie, but they've got this sort of slightly sweet innocence to them. Even though I have no idea what's going on most of the time. They're not the worst company. Certainly compared to a lot of the films we've watched in this list. As characters, they're not that bad. They were alright.
I think what makes it work, there's such an exaggeration to them. It's all so over the top.
Yeah.
That you can't help but kind of get caught up in it.
They're stupid boys, aren't they, basically? So what did you think of the pacing of the film? Which clocks in at a nice 2 hours.
Yeah, cheeky 2 hours.
A cheeky 2.
I think it had quite a promising start. It seemed to be going quite well, like they got to Thailand and they were doing all this and this and this. But then it seemed to take a halt when the families met and all that sort of scenario just kept going on and on and on. And it was this, you thought, right, okay, they've done this joke already. Okay, they've done it again already.
Yeah.
And at that point is when I just was dying for it to end. And I'd lost all interest that I did have because I actually was kind of interested. The setup, I was kind of excited to see what the hell they were going to do with it, but it just milked a dry teat.
मैं कन्हैया का father हूँ.
Daddy?
आप भी father, ये भी father, इतने सारे father.
Not only did it go on for too long, but it didn't actually deliver much either.
No.
So that's the problem. You
Yeah.
know, it was boring. There was not actually that many plot points. You know, it could have easily been an hour film.
Yeah.
And I don't really understand why it's dragged out for 2 hours. Even if you don't take account of the music videos that they have in it, which is just...
There's only about 3, I
yeah,
think.
I mean, that's quite a common thing for Bollywood films, I think,
Yeah,
to
and
have
it's
some
part
like
of the
musical
enjoyment.
numbers. Yeah. But they didn't really add on to the length that much. You could
No.
have still had a much, much tighter plot. I mean, how many comedy films do you get in at 2 hours? That's quite rare, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
you have 2 hours might be like an epic drama, but, you
For a
know,
comedy.
brevity is the soul of wit. You know, jokes
Yeah.
are funny when you get to the point, not when you spend hours and hours massaging the same not particularly funny point.
What did you think of the editing style?
Yeah, I'm glad that you asked that because it was definitely stood out a bit. It does have a stylistic feel to it. The editing, I don't really know how to describe it. I haven't really seen anything like it.
Nonsense, Mr. Lele. Please look behind.
The only thing I could think of that it really reminded me of was maybe like a children's TV show. There's a lot of use of comedy sound effects, you know, like boing, boing, you know, like raise an eyebrow and it's like boing, you know.
Aata Maji. Latakli.
And a lot of hard and fast cuts, very fast-paced editing. And actually, I did kind of like it. It worked in the film's favour to have that style. I think it helps when you've got really bad jokes to cut away from them really quickly.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing worse than hanging on for something that isn't funny. But if you're kind of constantly moving, it's sort of lots of almost funny jokes, kind of amusing.
I loved the use of the bright colours, but that's classic Bollywood anyway.
Yeah.
I think they had some quite nice shots in there. They like the sort of shots that were sort of scenic shots.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's a bit where the car was going down to the house thing, I think, something like that, and it looked quite good. And I was like, quite impressed with some of it, actually.
It was definitely making the most of the fact that it's a film and doing stuff with the camera and things that actually a lot of comedy films don't do, you know.
It added to the silliness of it because it was a really, really silly film.
Yeah.
And they embraced that, I think, didn't they?
They were trying.
Yeah, they were trying. No one could say they weren't trying.
How well do you think the comedy in the film and just the general film translates to us?
I thought the story itself was quite a generic kind of story that, you know, could easily follow sort of thing. There were definitely some cultural references in there that I didn't pick up on. And I think the porn films that they were doing was actually reenacting, like, famous Bollywood films.
Yeah.
That's probably part of the humour of it.
Yeah, it probably would have been quite funny.
I feel like there was also a lot of jokes in there that was sort of, did get, well,
Yeah.
not necessarily always funny, but I think overall, the things I didn't get in the way of my experience of it too much.
Yeah, with the father figure, you know, you understand that he's a conservative kind of religious guy, and I don't think you need to understand the sort of specifics of the Hindu culture necessarily, even though it definitely plays a part of it. I think you just get the impression, you know, what he does and doesn't believe kind of thing.
I think this was made, obviously, for a wide audience.
We should probably point out also that it's the third film in a trilogy. We
My God, they
definitely
must have
haven't
had
seen
enough
the first
success to get the other, to get to the third one. So
The title, Kya Kool Hain Hum 3, actually, according to the subtitles at the beginning, they sing it in a song, means, how cool are we? 3.
Kya cool hain hum, kya cool hum.
I mean, that's quite a generic title. I don't know what the first two films were about. I'm guessing they weren't about them being porn stars. No. So really the trilogy is probably focused on these two characters.
Yeah.
Just doing whatever. I mean, I'd be interested to know what they were doing in the first two films.
yeah, not interested enough for watching, I'd say. For
No.
me.
No.
A Google.
Yeah.
No, not a watch.
A brief Google.
Yeah. Did you like the music?
I like some of the music. there was a couple of good songs. I think probably the first 2 songs were probably the best. Especially, I think, the second one. So not the opening title sequence, but the first kind of music video song was actually a pretty catchy tune. It was very poppy, very modern, nice production. You know, it just looked like a music video. That's what it was. But you've got your characters in there. The other songs maybe weren't as good. There was definitely 1 or 2. There was one on a beach, I seem to remember, that was pretty weak.
Yeah, she says, "Oh, but you can be my soft toy," it's called, or something like that.
Oh boy, you're my soft toy.
Yeah, again, whether that's just bad songwriting or just doesn't translate well.
Yeah, I feel like could be a mix of 2.
Yeah.
I was really excited because I sort of love that kind of music, but I feel like it got worse, and it's a shame because it opened up with some corkers, and I was like, yes, this is like great. I'm in my element. I love this. But then, it just got worse, and they didn't really fit in with what was going on. Yeah,
you're right about that. And in fact, that's the beach one again, isn't it? That just sort of like didn't really have any
point. And it was just at that point as well. I was like, oh, for God's sake, here's an extra 5 minutes on this flipping endless story. Yeah. Not only is this insultingly long, you've now just put a really crap song in here to just make it worse. So thanks.
What age rating would you give this film? Because it's touted as a porn com, and I think we probably expected something quite explicit from that.
Well, I mean, you didn't actually see any naked bodies in it at all, did you? See underwear.
Yeah.
And obviously there's lots of sex references in it, but you don't actually see any sex in it, which I personally was pleased about. I'd probably say a 15.
I mean, most music videos are probably worse, aren't they?
I don't know, you had that lady who kept touching herself and turning herself on. Which was a bit weird, I'm not going to lie.
I think they wanted to appeal to a mainstream audience, but then that is just the strange thing. It's like, why pick a joke about porn if you want it to be like available for everyone? Seems like a strange premise.
I know it's labelled itself as a porn com, but I wouldn't say it would actually call it that. I'd call it like a raunchy comedy.
It's like the Carry On films.
Yeah.
But not in the 70s.
What was your question again?
Age rating.
Yeah, I'd say probably a 15.
Probably not the worst thing on the list. I didn't particularly enjoy it. I wouldn't watch it again, and I wouldn't really recommend it. But I don't hate it.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I found it such an emotional journey in the sense there was bits I thought were quite funny, bits I thought were really bad, boring in bits. Yeah, like you said, I don't hate it.
It's just something to say, isn't it? You can be like, oh yeah, watch Kya Kool Hain Hum 3. I preferred other Bollywood films.
Oh yeah, well yeah, of course. I don't know, what can you say? Bollywood, porn com.
It's a very tepid, didn't really like it from us.
Well, thank you for watching. Yet again, another video. We've nearly made it through the 90s now.
Yeah, 92.
92.
Not bad.
Yeah.
I think we're going to try and power through them for a few weeks and get our list back into shape because we've had a few weeks out. We've been moving flats, as you may have noticed. It's looking a wee bit different.
Remember to like, comment and subscribe if you haven't. Also share it if you like it. Please share it. We want to get ourselves out there.
Thanks very much for watching and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.